Okay, what's going on, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Energized. Ross, we're going back to Fight Island, man. We're going back.
Thank God. I was sick of looking at the Apex.
Yeah.
There's just something about Fight Island that I love. It's going to kick off with one of the biggest fights of the year, Adesanya versus Costa, and it's going to finish with probably the biggest fight of the year, Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Justin Gaethje. Basmo, what is it about Fight Island that makes the UFC that much bigger? And it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you the same question. Is it like the way they market it? Is it like the way they show off the sand and the beach, and it's almost like it feels like you're allowed into an exclusive club? I don't know what it is, because the Apex doesn't have that feel off it, because they have Dana White's choosing a contender series, and there's a lot of fighters who obviously aren't signed by the UFC fighting there. So maybe the exclusivity of Fight Island is what really gets people like just intrigued.
I think it is. I also feel it's shot better in Fight Island. I don't know if that makes any sense, but when you watch the fighters come out into the octagon, even though they're both coming out to nothing, it's got a bigger feel to it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, if you come out from behind a curtain in Fight Island, as opposed to like they almost come through the Ultimate Fighter door, the Apex, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, the Apex was built just for the Ultimate Fighters or choosing a contender series, or in case Dana was having a session in the place and he was like, right, you two lads can fight. Justin Bieber against Tom Cruise. But the Fight Island was like made for big events. You know what I mean?
It really was.
Yeah. And the octagon's bigger in Fight Island as well. Don't forget that.
Yeah, true. Which I think probably, in my opinion, makes the fight slightly more intriguing. I feel like someone like Sean O'Malley would have benefited more from a larger octagon. Someone like Conor McGregor would definitely benefit from like a larger octagon. How they can move around and use that space, as opposed to Colby Covington's going to love that small octagon. His opponent doesn't have many places to go. Going to eventually take him down. Khabib probably would have loved to fight the Apex. You know what I mean? Justin Gaethje at close range to him at all times to get the takedown. That's sort of what I was thinking. But probably the biggest talking point of Fight Island, leaving Fight Island, is going to probably be one of the biggest talking points of this Fight Island as well. Kazmat Shemaev, the Smasher. That's just what like his like nickname should be, the Smasher.
Yeah. For people that don't know him, Ross, can you explain? Can you explain it to the people that don't know?
Kazmat Shemaev showed up. He's a Dagestani mauler. He fights out of All Star Gym in Sweden. All Star Gym has the likes of Alexander Gustafsson, Ilir Latifi, many more. And he originally made his UFC debut against John Phillips. And then he fought 2 weeks later against our good friend.
No, a week.
A week later, was it? Oh, 10 days. 10 days. Because it was a Wednesday show and then the following Saturday show.
Yeah.
And he fought Reese McKee. And he landed 162 strikes across both fights. And he was hit with 2 strikes across both fights. He looks like an absolute one-man wrecking ball. This time, he's going to fight Gabriel Meerkat. I can never say his name. I think Barry calls him the Meerkat.
Yeah.
At middleweight in Vegas, September 19th. And then he's going to go over to Fight Island and fight Damian Maia on one of the fight nights over there. Barry, have you ever seen someone who's like their gimmick or their UFC thing is like, I just do back-to-back fights all the time. That's my thing. I book 2 fights at the one time.
When you're hot, and like the people really want him in. It's very. It'll get loads of people watching that fight night before he goes over as well, because as we know, the last few fight nights, not many people have been overly excited by. I think like even the way we opened the show, we were like, oh, the UFC is going back to Fight Island. Like that was the biggest takeaway from the weekends.
He is the people's main event, isn't he?
Does he get in the main card? Do they push him the way they do Sean O'Malley? Look what happened there.
I'd almost co-main event him, to be honest.
On a fight night?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
On both.
Well, if you won the first.
Yeah, well, if he loses, like, maybe don't co-main event him.
Well, he's probably the most intriguing fighter in the UFC right now, because he's all of a sudden one of the most talked about, And like as you said, the record that he has there, well, like over 160 strikes landed, only received 2 in 2 fights, which is actually that's something you'd see in the Matrix almost. But
yeah, Khabib wouldn't even have that good stats.
no, this guy, for people that actually haven't seen him as well, because there's no point in like going on and on and on about him. He's only had 2 fights in the UFC, but he's almost like, for people that watch Pokemon, it's like he's the evolved version of Khabib. So basically, like if he was Pikachu, he'd be what, like Raichu?
I think so.
Bigger, stronger, and more direct almost. So you can tell he learned off Khabib, and he's more.
He's basically taken Khabib's game plan and he's brought it to the next level.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very impressive. It's like suplex and everything are brilliant.
Yeah. What card are they going to stick him on, Ross, over in fight on 254 with Khabib? Or else?
No, I think it'll be earlier than that because the 254 card is so stacked, and we'll get to it in a minute. Give me 1 second. I just have to let the dog out.
Yeah. So Ross Curran.
I think it will be one of the sort of midweek cards. I'm actually just going to quickly like have a quick stroll through what the cards are beforehand, and just like see where Ross Cadwell, matchmaker, sort of shoehorns him in there. One of the fight nights doesn't have a main event yet, but there's sort of a Marlon Moraes fighting Corey Sandhagen. That's sort of the targeted main event. That one's not absolute dead cert, but maybe he probably wants to fight fairly sharpish. It all depends, because the first fight is at middleweight and then he's dropping down to welterweight. So I would maybe push him towards the tail end of Fight Island. How he has time to get that weight off him.
That's mad. That's what he did last time. But he might end up fighting on the first one and then sticking around the whole time till the last one. He'll probably try and get 3 fights on the Fight Island,
You would almost think that he would actually do the welterweight drop, make his way for welterweight, and then be like, right, now I don't have to cut weight again quite quickly afterwards, and then I'll fight middleweight. I almost think he's doing it backwards.
Yeah, I know he seems like Chimiev. Make sure to check him out. Do not miss him on Fight Island, because if you're going to watch anyone, make sure you watch him. But Ross, also we could have Nick Diaz back out of retirement. Now, this has been said loads of times. So give me your honest opinion, because like some people be like, "Oh, they're really going to talk about Nick Diaz coming back again?"
Well, all I'll say is Nick Diaz's manager put up an Instagram post of him, and he looks in very, very good shape. Now, Nick Diaz always looks in shape, but people are talking about it. I'd like to see it. You'd like to see it. What if Jorge Masvidal wins the rematch against Nate Diaz, which is more than likely going to happen, and more than likely Jorge Masvidal will win? Would you love to see Jorge Masvidal versus Nick Diaz?
Would I love to see it? I think it'd be cool to see it. I don't overly need it.
Well, I'm trying to think if what's the money fight to get Nick Diaz back? I think that's the only money fight, really.
Do you know, I don't think Nick Diaz has fought in the UFC since Conor McGregor made his debut.
Did he not come back and fight Anderson Silva?
Yeah, but wasn't that well, you see, there's a technicality there, because that was actually scrapped because he failed a drug test after. Isn't that correct?
Well, because it was a non-result, it doesn't count. Is that what you're saying?
Well, if you have a non-result payment in your bank account, I'm pretty sure that's a non-result.
Yeah, but he still fought. The contest still happened. I saw it.
Yeah, we're
he was lying down, taunting him, smacking his ass at one stage.
Well, look, as you always say, you call him a spade. That supposedly doesn't count. But okay, bar that fight. If I was to give you that fight, even though I should not give you that fight because that's not on their records, man.
Well, it is. It's down as a non-contest.
Yeah, but it's not in the win or loss column here.
Yeah, his fight was 158, 2013. I don't think Conor McGregor had fought just yet then.
When did Conor make his debut against Brimage?
That is a very good question. I actually think it was not too long after that. I'll tell you now, give me 2 tickles.
It can't be too far after that, right?
No, I think if I was to guess, I would say 2014. Because he was fighting in Sweden. He fought Marcus Brimage. No, 2013, so he was in the UFC.
What date? Do you have the dates? The different dates?
Yeah, so that was 6th of April 2013. Conor McGregor made his UFC debut.
April 6th.
And, oh no, wait, sorry, Barry, you're right. It was March 2013, the Diaz fight. So it was the month after.
Oh, so like
McGregor made his debut.
You should take everything back that you just.
I'll take everything right back, Barry. You were correct. The king of MMA.
Right, I'm done. If you like the show, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and as always,
keep listening.
Man, I can't believe you. Yeah, you almost destroyed me there with the no contest, and then Jesus, man.
I get the dates wrong.
Yeah, man.
Get the dates. Can't believe I got those dates wrong from 7 years ago, man.
Ross, imagine someone from the UFC was watching this and they were like, "Jesus, man," you know what I mean? Like, hate them, man.
Isn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't. No, they would have like hit the dislike button ages ago and clicked off already. Ross, let's get into it, right? UFC 253 and UFC 254. They're both going to be on Fight Island. I mean, as MMA fans, for people watching now and ourselves, this is something we're really looking forward to.
Absolutely. Let's kick off with UFC 253. You have 2 title fights. You have 2 undefeated wrecking machines. Israel Adesanya, 19-0, versus Paulo the Eraser Costa, 13-0. These two don't like each other. Israel Adesanya is probably the most polarizing figure to enter the UFC since Conor McGregor has. He is just a man who has his own unique style, his own unique swagger. He's done his own walkout with a dance routine prior to the octagon. I've never seen someone do something so choreographed in my entire life. He's got pink hair at the moment. People are very, very much so interested. Also, he's from New Zealand, so he's got like the whole of New Zealand behind him as well. So, like, the comparisons are definitely there. Paulo Costa, on the other hand, probably physique-wise is one of the most terrifying people in the UFC. He is absolutely jacked.
Ross,
he comes...
yeah, like, obviously everyone knows Adesanya, but some people were asking, or they mentioned they hadn't actually seen Costa live yet. So, like, if you could go a bit more into depth about Costa and why people can't miss him.
Man, you just interrupted me. I was halfway through it.
I know, but they need a bit more than the Adesanya one, you know, because everyone knows Adesanya.
Of course. Paulo Costa comes forward at all times throughout the fight. He walked down Yoel Romero and beat him by decision. They don't call him the Eraser for nothing. Apparently in this training camp, Paulo Costa is running through training partners. He is knocking out everyone in sparring on the lead up to Israel Adesanya.
Who? Logan Paul and Henry Cejudo.
Both of them knocked out clean. Paulo Costa is out there saying, bend the knee. Bend the knee. He is a one-man wreck machine. And a lot of people have written off this fight. In fact, Dan Hardy himself even said that Adesanya and Till would make Costa just look like a bodybuilder. I don't think so.
No, bodybuilder. Where did he come from with that? Because anytime I've seen Costa, you're about to see a proper scrap.
Yeah, but he's only been to the decision once in the UFC. He's knocked out Uriah Hall. He's knocked out Johnny Hendricks. He has 2 other knockouts against people that probably no one knows. But every time he gets in there, he wins by knockout, bar against Yoel Romero. But who stops Yoel Romero? You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where I don't know where Dan Hardy's come from. And normally I would have considered Dan Hardy quite a smart guy. I think he thinks Adesanya's going to be able to pick him apart. But we saw Adesanya versus Gastelum, and Adesanya got hit quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I think there's a difference between getting hit by Kelvin Gastelum and getting hit by Paulo Costa.
Definitely.
And not only do you have that fight, we will crown a new light heavyweight king at UFC 253 on Fight Island. The Dominator, Dominic Reyes, steps in to fight Jan Blachowicz. This fight only happened on 6 weeks' notice. I'm very much so looking forward to this. Well, normally for a title fight, you sort of know you have about 10 or 12 weeks. You know it's coming down the line. But people weren't expecting John Jones to vacate his belt. And there we go. Although John Jones has been saying, you know, he's going to do that for a while. So Dominic Reyes should have been ready. It's more complaints from his side than there is from Jan Blachowicz's side.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, it might be a weight issue though. He might because if you look at the two guys, I would say Dominic Reyes would probably struggle to make weight more so than Jan Blachowicz.
Yeah,
Jan
but yeah,
Blachowicz fought at 185,
yeah.
and Dominic Reyes is 6'4", so he definitely has a bigger frame. I think this one is actually quite a bit closer than most people give credit for. In terms of Jan Blachowicz, he's come into the light heavyweight division. He's knocked out Luke Rockhold before that, then Souza, then Corey Anderson. I mean, they're three really, really big wins in a row. As opposed to Dominic Cruz, yeah, he knocked out Chris Weidman, or Dominic Reyes, sorry, not Cruz, Reyes. He knocked out Chris Weidman, and then he had that very razor-thin split decision loss to John Jones.
Yeah.
So it's quite a unique matchup. If I had to favour someone, I think I'd favour Dominic Reyes. I think he fires that left hand straight down the pipe, and I think that's probably his biggest weapon. I know John Jones said that's sort of all he had, but it was enough to bring John Jones to a decision. I think it'll be enough to get it done against Jan Blachowicz.
Jan sort of always tries to take a step forward as well,
He does, but I don't know whether he'll be able to, impose his will, one might say, against Dominic Reyes the way he was against, Jacare, who was also a middleweight, Luke Rockhold, who was also middleweight. And then I think he more so just caught Corey Anderson, as opposed to, who isn't like the best striker, decent wrestler.
It could be like Jan to win by knockout, or Dominic to win by decision, or else TKO.
Yeah, I could sort of see almost like a fourth round finish for Dominic Reyes by TKO. Yeah.
What side of the fence, just between Israel Adesanya and Paulo Costa, what side of the fence is he sitting on right now?
Well, I think I'm going to put my money down on Paulo Costa, because I think Israel Adesanya, by the sound of things, is going to be a considerable favourite going into this fight. And I like Paulo Costa's chances of winning this fight.
Yeah. Remember we saw him in New York, and you were like, man, that fella's the best looking lad in the world. And I was like, better than me. And you're like, yeah, man. I was like, geez, a bit harsh, man. You could have just let my ego go for a bit there. But speaking of good-looking people, after yourself, Ross, Claudia Gadelha is on the card as well.
She is indeed. She's probably one of the best-looking women in all of MMA, no? Fair?
Yeah. She is a bit of she's gotten way stockier now. So, but face, definitely.
But unfortunately, she won't be on the card though, Baz, because I just actually looked her up there, and she's actually out with a knee injury. She's out for like 3 months now. Right, she's off the card. So
the card's gotten worse looking now.
Lads, you don't have to watch the weigh-ins anymore.
Did they cancel the weigh-ins? But speaking of good-looking people, Kai Kara France is on the card.
He is indeed a training partner of Israel Adesanya. A win here for Kai Kara France could be enough to get him a title shot at the flyweight title. Why not? You know what I mean? He's got a bit of a name for himself in a division that not many people do have a name for themselves. He also was fighting Brandon Royval, who just beat Tim Elliott there on short notice. And in terms of Kai Kara France, I think he's only lost, I think it's 3-1 in the UFC, so 4-1 might be a good enough record to get yourself a shot at the winner of Figueroa versus Cody Garbrandt.
Figueroa.
Who
do you fancy for that one, by the way, Cody and Figueroa?
I think Davison at the moment. I feel like I've seen Cody get knocked out 3 times. I think Davison has enough power to get that done. Yeah. Also on that card, you have a retirement fight for Diego Sanchez as he fights Jake Matthews.
Only a retirement fight till his next fight?
No, he says this one's actually his last one, and I sort of believe him because he's 38 and he's definitely been punched in the face enough.
No, he has to fight this guy Taylor always has back and forth with Mike Perry.
Oh, I don't know if I want to see that. I think Mike Perry's going to go up to middleweight by the sound of things, no?
Maybe. But also here, this guy on this card as well, Nate Landwehr, was an absolute scrap last time as well, so make sure not to miss on that. Ross, looking at the card now, UFC 253, what would you give it a rate now to 10?
I would give this rating, I'm going to say 8.5 out of 10. It would have got a 9 out of 10 if the undercard was a bit stronger, but like I'm very much so staying up to watch Blachowicz, Reyes, followed by the main event, Costa versus Adesanya. Yeah. But it was always going to get minimum 8 out of 10 with Costa and Adesanya on top of the card.
Yeah. I like 100% agree. I 100% agree. Ross, then look, we may as well compare it to UFC 254 because we actually made a video on this a while ago, saying how excited we were. But like now, we are really excited if you're comparing two cards. Khabib, Justin Gaethje, Fight Island, winner takes all.
I honestly do feel like this card is the best card of the year from top to bottom. Starting off with the Dagestani wrecking machine that is Khabib Nurmagomedov. Big thing this time out is Khabib's father unfortunately passed away during this whole pandemic. So it'll be interesting to see what type of Khabib Nurmagomedov we get. Also, he did his entire camp in Dagestan and Russia. So will we get a better, more dedicated version of Khabib, if that's even possible? Or alternatively, will we get a Khabib whose mind is elsewhere? On the other hand,
did you see the training video he put up and on the wall? It looked like they were in like it was a wrestling room, so the walls are all padded, but like it also sort of looked like something out of like that a psychopath would be in prison, and there was just sweat all over the walls, and people were writing in the comments. It was like people were writing that it looked like it was a murder scene or something. But it just when you go, is he training hard? He's training very hard.
He's training hard. Well, that's what we want to see.
That's exactly what we want to see.
And then you have, in the other corner, Justin Gaethje, violence personified, the most violent man the UFC has ever seen, the human highlight reel himself. This man has never not been in Fight of the Night. He is must-see TV. It does not get better than that main event.
Yeah.
UFC, you're treating the fans to an absolute glorious fight. People are even going as far to say Justin Gaethje is Khabib Nurmagomedov's kryptonite. If you were to build a fighter to beat Khabib Nurmagomedov, you'd want someone with very good wrestling. Check, Justin Gaethje. You want someone with very good leg kicks. Check, Justin Gaethje. And you want someone with knockout power in both hands. Check, Justin Gaethje. He ticks all the boxes that you would pick to beat Khabib Nurmagomedov.
I thought you were talking about CM Punk for a second. But Ross, what else is on the card that people should look out for as well? Because obviously the headliner is definitely giving the card a 9 out of 10 feel. But there's some big matchups scheduled. Well, not on the website now. But
we have a number one contender middleweight fight between Robert Whittaker and Jared Cannonier. The winner of this fight will most certainly meet the winner of Adesanya versus Costa. You also have Islam Makhachev, one of Khabib's best training partners, going up against former UFC lightweight champion Rafael dos Anjos. Rafael dos Anjos is dropping back down to lightweight. He's looking to make another run at the title. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. On top of that, you have a fight that's been looked to be made as many times as Khabib versus Tony Ferguson. You have Zabit versus Yair Rodriguez. I actually paused because I was going to attempt to say his name, and then I decided I won't. But that main card is about as stacked as it gets. It really, really is.
Yeah, go on ahead.
You're not hitting record.
It is. It's recording right now. Go.
Oh, I can't see it. This fight has been tried to make as many times as Tony Ferguson versus Khabib. Zabit versus Yair Rodriguez. I think it's the fourth time this has been scheduled to be made. That one's guaranteed to be an absolute banger. You have about 4 different Fight Night main events being put on this main card. It does not get much better than that.
Why does the UFC obsessed with this fight, though? Like, why does it have to happen?
I think there was like bad blood for a while, and this was the fight that famously Yair Rodriguez turned down, and UFC tried to cut him. Do you remember that? Yeah,
but I mean, Leon Edwards versus Masvidal, that is way more. The UFC just must have something against Yair Rodriguez. They're like, you're not getting out of this, and that's it.
Yeah, well, I think Yair Rodriguez must have had to talk himself into being like, right, I can definitely beat this guy, because he just keeps on fighting that guy, and that's it. Like, he even fought Jeremy Stevens twice in a row to get out of having to fight to beat.
But like, see, that must be the weird thing. Obviously, we wouldn't know firsthand, but like, if you're scheduled to fight someone like numerous times, Tony Ferguson could be, but definitely no. And then like, you're like, all you can see is them when you go to wake up in the morning or you go to sleep, you know, and then the fight doesn't happen. You're like, I'm after wasting so much energy wanting to fight this guy and it never happens. That must be absolutely mental. Like, I wonder if you could add up the amount of time, as in days or hours, that Khabib and Tony Ferguson was booked. And so, like, it could have been like, they could have spent like a sort of 6 months scheduled to fight each other and never do it. Like, that's a waste of 6 months.
If you look at Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier, Stipe actually fought Daniel Cormier 3 times in a row.
The GOAT.
Yeah, he was thinking about DC for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 2 years straight.
Yeah, that's why he looks so amazing.
Yeah.
Ross, any other fights in this card that we should definitely look out for? You've obviously mentioned Zabit's on the card. You've mentioned Rob Whittaker's on the card. Khabib versus Gaethje.
You're also going to get a little look into Volkov versus Harris. So, like, you get a bit of heavyweight flair to it as well, which is nice.
That is very
nice. I mean, like, this is the card that shouldn't be too hard to stay up till 6 o'clock in the morning to watch.
I know, man. So, like, if we'd give, we're after giving UFC 243?
253.
Yeah, sorry, we're after giving UFC 253, Adesanya versus Costa, 8.5 out of 10. And then this card, what are you giving it?
I'm giving it 9.5 out of 10.
Just because, like...
the main card is absolutely brilliant. You have grudge match, former champion and number 1 contender match, and then, like, an absolute elite title fight.
Yeah, but and do you know what as well? Oh, hold on. Are they not meant to be putting Ferguson and Poirier on the card as well?
That actually is supposed to be on the card, but Poirier said he hasn't been offered a contract yet.
See, that's why it should be unreal. But then the great thing as well about it is this will all... like, everyone will know what the sort of situation is after with the Conor McGregor situation, because obviously he's waiting out to fight. If Gaethje wins convincingly, he'll probably fight Conor. But if Khabib wins, he'll probably fight Tony Ferguson if Tony Ferguson beats Poirier. But, like, things will, with the stars will align, and we'll see the path for each fighter after that as well, which is always very exciting to discuss in the build up.
What would you think if Tony Ferguson signs fight Poirier and then Gaethje gets injured and then we actually get Ferguson versus Khabib?
You see, like, they might put Michael Chandler in. Like, I mean, this is... Things can change in an instant, you know? It's... and
this is true.
Yeah, and Dana White is so good at changing stuff over and just changing the card, like, with a snap of the fingers. Max Holloway comes in. You know, and this, that, and the other. Shad Mendes comes in. This, that, and the other. Anderson Silva versus Daniel Cormier.
I can't believe we nearly forgot about Poirier versus Ferguson.
I know, but, like, when you do a show and you discuss nearly everything, you're always going to forget one more thing. Well, it took the main man Baswell to bring in the gold dust again.
The gold dust, man.
Man, what would you do without me? You'd be like,
man, you're the A side of this pay-per-view, man. You're the A side.
Man, if it wasn't for me, you'd be so much further. But Ross, there's obviously do we have anything else to say about them 2 cards, because I'm looking forward to both of them before we get into this weekend's action.
No, it should be really, really good. Also, speaking of rivalries and fight, we're also going to see Korean Zombie versus Brian Ortega. I'm looking forward to that one on Fight Island.
Yeah, we, as always, we'll be keeping everyone up to date on all the action as well. So if you are new to the show, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to tell Ross he'd be so much further without me. But Ross, before we get into this weekend's action, Alistair Overeem won again, finally, in the 5th round against Sakai. Before getting into any nonsense, can you, or is this the last chance Overeem's ever going to get to become a UFC heavyweight champion? Because I'd love to see it, man. And also, he's fought in 4 different decades. Yeah,
I think it is his last chance. I think he knows it's the last chance. But he looks very, very good. You know what I mean? I feel like in his last couple of fights, and including the Rosenstruck fight, he's fought very, very intelligently. He's, literally ran away from people to get out of the danger zone.
Yeah.
And I actually don't think there's anything wrong with that, given a place and time. And in terms of his skill set alone, could he actually become a UFC champion? He could. Is it completely outrageous to think Overeem could knock out
Ngannou?
Stipe Miocic? Not really. Is it completely outrageous to think Overeem could take down Ngannou for 5 rounds the way Stipe did? Not really. So anything is possible. Yeah, and when you have Overeem's talent, definitely possible.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Do you know what's going to be really disappointing when like all the really old guard are gone and like the old guard will be like Max Holloway.
Yeah, sure. That's what happens in all sports, though. You know what I mean? It's like in football, you know, when Messi and Ronaldo leave, or in the rugby when Brian O'Driscoll and Paul O'Connell left. You know what I mean? The new talent will emerge. I think Overeem, though, is going to fight the winner of Curtis Blades and Derek Lewis next. I feel like that's a fair fight for him to take next.
Yeah. Well, then we'll get into this weekend's action because there is UFC on again. Let me just get the card up here, Ross. It's on Saturday. It's been headlined by Michelle Waterson against Angela Hill. Also, Arme Billy Quarantillo is on the card as well against Kyle Nelson. Arme
on
Billy.
On the Billy.
We actually are friends with Billy on Instagram, which is hilarious.
For me, the main people who I'm watching out for on this card is Otman Azatar. He is fighting against Kamara Worthy. I feel like the winner of that fight could do big things in that lightweight division. Azatar, which is another hard name to sign, is actually with Dominance MMA, and I'm pretty sure he's 11-0. So he looks like someone to definitely look out for. Alan Patrick versus Bobby Green has like fight of the night written all over. Barry, can you ever remember Bobby Green not being in a good fight?
No, I remember in his last fight he got really deep after it as well.
And then Baz, your mate Brian Barberina is fighting Anthony Ivy. Now I know nothing about Anthony Ivy, but you love Brian Barberina.
Yeah, ever since he beat Sage Northput and ruined Sage Northput on us.
And then Roosevelt Roberts fight Matt Favola. That's a bit of a grudge match. They're both contender series guys. So they're sort of the ones I think to look out for. The main event's realistically probably going to go 5 rounds. If not, I would back Michelle Waterson to win by submission maybe in the 4th or 5th round. I think she's a bit better on the ground.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Then also Bellator is on this week as well. There's Bellator 245 is on Friday night, and then Bellator 246 is on Saturday night. The 245 card is being headlined by Phil Davis versus Lyoto Machida for the second time, and on Saturday night, Juan Archuleta is taking on Patchy Mix for the bantamweight world title as well.
Yeah, I think Phil Davis probably winning the decision there. Catherine Gano is also on that card, and then I like Patchy Mix to win that bantamweight belt. He's undefeated. He's a young guy. I'd be excited to see him. You have a few other nice names like John Fitch fighting Neiman Grace on that card. So if you're into the jiu-jitsu, it could be one to watch out.
Okay. Another thing, massive shout out to Steve McKenna, who was on the show last week. He went in and absolutely dominated in the first round. Very, very scary guy.
Yeah, he absolutely assaulted his opponent. It was very Kazmat Shmaev assault.
It was. But yeah, here I just want to say, did a long enough show. Yeah, myself and Ross got like some decent news there during the week, and obviously it's got something got to do with MMA. Let's see what happens over the next few weeks. But thanks, man, for everyone tuning in, because we I know we do the show no matter what anyway, but it's just you get a message that something good could happen. You're like, oh shit, better wear the red t-shirt.
You know what's going down. No, guys, again, thanks a million for watching. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and as always,
stay energized.